Hello and welcome to another episode of West Underground. Today I'm very excited because we are joined by none other than Sami Cartwright. And just straight off the bat, what has your musical journey been like? Like how long have you been, performing for? And what's the journey been like for you?
Yeah, so I started singing when I was probably about 4 years old. So I feel like it's always been something that I've just done. Both my parents were musicians. So growing up with that influence around you kind of leads you to be a musician as well. But yeah, I've been writing and singing since I was probably four, and doing little live gigs around eight. And just recently released my first two singles. So that's pretty exciting.
Oh, beautiful. And like as a child, when did you start writing songs?
Yeah, so my first song was when I was four. Obviously, it wasn't very good. I think it was about dominoes for some reason, that game that you used to play.
Yeah, yeah.
You flick over the dominoes. I wrote a song about that. So yeah, started small and then definitely developed my songwriting over time. But yeah, I wrote my first little EP when I was 8, and it's so funny to listen back to it. I'll have to share it on my socials soon because the difference from then to now it's crazy.
Wow. And so you would have played like shows and, studied music throughout high school and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you know, it feels like you've like really started your career recently, like putting out a bunch of music and doing that. Were you performing and doing like cover gigs and all that kind of stuff before you've kind of taken it into your own hands and, developed your own music?
Yeah, definitely. So I started playing guitar when I was about 12, and then I did my first cover gig at 14. So I've been playing regular cover gigs all over Sydney, and even in a couple of other states since I was probably 14. Yeah. So just learning how to cover other people's songs and releasing my own music kind of came from there.
Wow. And like did that teach you a lot? Because I see a lot of bands do it in reverse and they put out their own music, but they haven't done that side of things. Like like did you think that's been helpful, like, and certainly like in, engaging the audience and engaging the crowd?
Definitely. I mean, starting off with cover gigs, it gives you a bit of a fan base to begin with because people like your voice. So yeah, I built quite a big fan base just off doing cover gigs around Sydney. So I had people that would come to different shows and the same people would be showing up. So it built me kind of like a really good foundation to start releasing my original music. And then all of those people who come, they are now the ones that are streaming and listening to my music and buying it. So that's great.
Beautiful. And they still show their faces at now your own gigs?
Yes, they do. It's great. And it's awesome because they have enjoyed watching the process as well. So as much as I've enjoyed showing them who I am as an artist, I think now that I can actually show that to them and give them original music, it almost engages them more as a fan and as somebody who likes my music. Yeah.
Wow. And like you're a Sydney musician. So like have you been able to travel outside of Sydney yet, or have you kind of been restricted by the whole COVID circumstances at the moment?
Yeah, so I picked a really good time to release my original music, didn't I?
Well, I mean,
But
everyone is at home, so it could be good or bad, depending on how you look at the glass, if it's half full or half empty. But
definitely, like there's been so many more electronic opportunities that I wouldn't have had the chance to enter into had this lockdown not happened. So, and I've also been able to learn how to produce music here at home as well. So there's been so many good things coming out of lockdown. But yeah, releasing my first single, I think we went into lockdown about 3 months later. So I wasn't able to tour. I wasn't able to sing that song live to anybody. So yeah, I've just been kind of focusing on when we reopen and getting all those gigs lined up so that I can start showing people all the stuff I've been working on.
beautiful. And you just touched briefly there on yourself, teaching yourself production and stuff like that. What's your poison? Are you running Pro Tools, Logic? What have you been
I'm
up to?
Yeah, so I'm using Cubase. I have my family members have used Logic, but yeah, I ended up on the Cubase wagon because I'm a Windows user. But yeah, I absolutely love it. I think it's such a great interface. It's really good to start making your own music because I feel like when you write a song, you have an idea in your head and then you take it to a producer and they always do a great job, but it's never exactly what you heard or what you envisioned. And this way, it just gives me an opportunity to show them exactly where I want the track to go. So I have that creative freedom.
Perfect. And by teaching you, by developing your skills and your own self-production skills, has it made you a better musician because you've now forced to, like, hear yourself and do it all yourself? Like, do you reckon it's probably made you better?
Massively. I think I was always hesitant to start because I was nervous about learning something completely new. Like production is massive, and
Yeah.
like props to the producers who have done it their whole lives, because it's a lot of knowledge to be able to do it so successfully as well. But yeah, as soon as I started, I was writing music that I never even thought of writing before. So it just opens up a whole nother realm of possibility.
Wow. And you said you play guitar, but have you also now been, teaching yourself piano? Do you play piano as well?
So I started learning piano when I was about probably 5 years old.
Yeah.
And I did it for 3 years, and then I stopped because I was young and wanted to learn guitar and move on. But yeah, those skills that I learned definitely are helpful, because I can use that as a MIDI editor. I can put over synths if I want to use synths on it. Even just the basic understanding of piano has helped me massively. But yeah, I would love to get more into it and to do more lessons in piano, because I feel like having a 3-instrument repertoire, voice, guitar and piano, would be, what is it? Triple threat? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think if you can play or, you can do all 3 well, then you're miles above a lot of people. So
it's definitely something that I will aim to do.
For sure.
Just on the songwriting side, do you write songs on the idea in your head, or do you just sit there and like, I'm just going to write down different things and see if it turns into something?
Good question. Both would be the answer. I've written songs in so many different ways growing up. I think I originally started just with melodies in my head. So I'd sing a little melody, I'd write lyrics to it, and that was where it would begin. But now it's completely different, especially with using Cubase. When I start writing a track, I write the bass line, the kick usually, and then piano or guitar over the top. So it gives me kind of like a melody already, and then I write over the top of that. So yeah, there's a few ways. Definitely lyrics first sometimes, melody first sometimes, and then full production in the background first, and then I write on top of that. So yeah, those 3 ways are my main ways.
Wow, it's awesome that you don't just stick to one. Like, we talk to so many people and they're like, I either write from, like, they're either lyrics people and they write the lyrics and then they kind of build a song around that, or they're melody guys. But you seem to be, all of them together.
I feel like you pigeonhole yourself when you pick one. Like, if you're an artist, pick all of them to try different ways. Like, I bought a book. It cost me $5 from some random bookstore on how to write a song. I know how to write a song, but I just wanted to learn how they thought they might write a song. And then it gives me another way to give it a go and see what I come up with. Like, you just never know what's going to happen. So you may as well try them all.
And that's, and what was their strategy, if I may ask, about it, writing a song? Was it?
Yeah, they have a few. One of them was really interesting. It was based off poetry. So is it acrostic, where you do like the letters and then you write the whatever word comes after that letter that you pick? Yeah, they were doing like acrostic poems and writing with poetry, which was really interesting, and actually rhyming certain words that you wouldn't normally rhyme, because I feel like everyone always rhymes the last word, which is so, I do it with my songs. Most people do it with their songs, but they were teaching you like a different way of connecting those rhymes. So yeah, they had a completely different view on it. So now I've got another way.
Have you given it a go yet, or is it?
Yeah, it's hard. Acrostic poems is definitely new, but yeah, I gave it a little bit of a go, and it gave me a different view on how to write through poetry. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, are you an artist who like will sit down and write a song and then it's finished, or do you have like half a dozen that are in the woodwork at all time that you kind of going, okay, I should finish that one? Like, what's the song writing process there?
I'm up to voice memo 606.
Wow.
On my iPhone. So that's 600 unwritten songs. Probably 100 of them are written.
Yeah.
Some of them not as great or not finished. Some of them ready to be recorded. So yeah, sometimes I can write a song within 5 minutes and it's done completely and I'm happy with it. And then other times it'll be 6 months to a year and I'll come back to something I wrote last year and I've got a completely fresh perspective on it, and then I'll finish it off. Yeah. And I love that about it as well, because you write it from a different perspective because you're in a different part of your life.
Yeah. And like, when you say you've got like 600 songs, are some of those just like a verse and some of those just like a chorus, or is it like most of them are pretty structured?
Yeah, look, they're so funny. Some of them are literally like me whispering at nighttime because I've woken up at 12 a.m. going, oh my God, I've got an idea. And I'll grab my phone and just whisper into my voice memos and record it. So some of them are 5 seconds. And then others are, 3 minutes, where it's just me singing a melody that doesn't actually, it's not a song, it doesn't make sense, but it's just 3 minutes of me kind of winging it. And then I pick little bits that I like out of that 3 minutes and create a song from it.
Very nice. And do you reckon the best songs that are like written are lost because they're on people's iPhones and they never?
So many. It's like the grave of all songs, all unfinished songs, voice memos. And if you ever lose your phone, if you don't back them up, all artists need to back them up. I luckily have gotten into the habit of doing that, but there was a time where I had about 300 that got completely deleted because my phone got dropped in the ocean. So that was upsetting.
I feel like your phone is screaming, I need more space. I'm getting full.
I get that reminder daily. I'm like, I just need to upgrade my gigabytes, I reckon.
Yeah. And like, I think now for everybody who's in Sydney, you can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. They're calling it Freedom Day and all, they're given a bunch of different names, but what's installed for you? What are you looking forward to about, the freedoms that are coming?
There's definitely a few. First and main one being the fact that live music is going to be open again, which is fantastic. And I've recently been asked to do an event. It's called the Summer Series. Cronulla Beer Co. They're hosting it. And it's held at Kurnell Rec Club. And it's I think there's about 300 to 400 people that are going to end up going. So it's going to be a massive event. There's going to be about 8 to 10 artists playing on the day, all live music. And it's just going to be awesome. Honestly, once I get on stage and see all the people having fun, I think it's just going to sink in that I'm playing again and we're able to get back to it, which is so exciting.
Beautiful.
Is it also exciting that you'll be playing your new song, Floodgates, as well? What was the experience like making that song?
Yeah, Floodgates was one that I actually wrote in lockdown, the first lockdown, so 2020. I was in a bit of a dark headspace, I think, when I wrote that song, and it was kind of about breaking free of insecurity and letting go of fear and just doing what you want to do without caring what other people think. And yeah, that song I haven't played live to anyone yet. So to be able to play that in December, or probably earlier if I get another gig in October or November, just to be able to play that live to people will be awesome. I can't wait.
For sure. That's awesome. Like, and, did you do the whole thing by yourself, or were you able to kind of collaborate with other musicians when we had that little window and, have some collaboration on the track, or was it just all self-produced?
So Floodgates is fully written by myself. I didn't collaborate with anybody except for my producer, who helped me create all of the guitar layers, because when you listen to Floodgates, there's about 7 different guitars on that track. So I played the original acoustic guitar, and then my producer, he plays ukulele. There was about 6 different guitars, and I don't even remember the names of half of them, but they were amazing. And yeah, he layered them on top with the idea that we came up with. So it kind of sounds really atmospheric and it gives it this really airy vibe, but it's all just guitar.
Wow. Holy
yeah.
shit.
We were
7
really
guitars.
happy with it.
I've never
Yeah.
heard that one before.
One of them was called a papoose. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a papoose before, but a papoose is like a cross between a guitar and a ukulele. I think it might be 12 string. And it's got this tiny little acoustic hole in it, like way different to the normal acoustic guitars, and about the size of a ukulele, kind of like a mandolin as well. And the sound of it is just unlike anything I've ever heard. It's got such a beautiful tone. So we used that on the last 3 tracks that I did, actually. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And, are you going to stick with the theme of like having, a bit like acoustic sounding music, or are you going to, change it up a little bit? Have you got tracks with a bit more like, I don't know, like, different instrumentation?
Definitely. Yeah. Why stick to one box when you can have them all? No, I just love to play with different genres. I think genre blending is in. Everybody genre blends these days. Every new artist, you listen to a song, it's not pop, it's like pop trap or pop EDM or pop folk. There's always an underlying genre to the genre that you're hitting it with. So yeah, I want to try them all. Like, I've written quite a few songs that are acoustic, but what I want to do with them is actually release probably a few of them that have that vibe, a few of them that have the folk vibe, but then integrate folk trap and folk EDM and start adding some electronic bass lines, electronic synths, and actually building these songs up a little bit as well as they go along. So when the album comes, which is in the process, it's going to be a mix. It's going to be a mix of everything. And I feel like it's really going to show my progression as an artist and my progression in writing as well. So that's the aim.
What does folk trap sound like?
Oh,
If you don't mind me
Vera Blue. Vera Blue.
Vera Blue. Okay.
Folk trap. Yeah, she does folk EDM, folk. She's done folk trap with her most recent producer, and then she tried another genre as well. But yeah, her album Perennial? That album is kind of folk electronic.
All right, cool. I've never heard of that term before, and I just like those two words get like together.
Sounds weird, doesn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. If you listen to her song, what is it called? Now I'm going to get stumped. She has a song, and she's in a beautiful white dress, and she's on a field. I think Flume plays in the background of it. Yeah. That song that she does with Flume is, I'm pretty sure it's folk electronic, but it's beautiful. What they've done with it is amazing, and I'd love to aim for something similar.
Nice. Well, I reckon you'll get there. And also, like, you've just mentioned you're playing in Cronulla. Mm-hmm. Did you have shows planned before we went into lockdown? Were you able to kind of recover some of those ones as well?
Yeah, so there's been a few. Some of the booking agents haven't started booking yet because I think they're waiting for it to officially open, because we're all a bit hesitant. We're just not sure. So yeah, I think once now that we've got an official open date, it's definitely going to start. But I've rebooked a few. I usually play at PJ O'Brien's in the city, so it's on King Street in the city. So there'll be definitely a few more gigs at PJ's coming up very soon, which will be fun. They're really cool gigs because the pub's really chill, everyone dances, like it's just got a really nice vibe to it. And yeah, then I'll be planning to do the bigger gigs, like the little festivals, like the one that's going to be at Cornell Rec Club, the summer series. So yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Awesome. And like what bands or like musicians like do you want to play with? Like are there people that you've got your eyes on that are in like the local scene that you're just waiting for the chance to play with them?
Yeah, for sure. I think we've got such a good scene at the moment. There's so many amazing artists. And I'm lucky to be friends, with a few bands on Triple J and stuff like that who I'd love to play with. A few that I'll mention are probably China Tiger. They're on Triple J. Really good friends with the drummer for that band, James Swanson. Such a good band. If anybody hasn't heard them, check out their stuff. They're amazing. So I'd love to do a little show with them. I reckon that would be awesome. But looking at the bigger artists and stuff like that, even just supporting, Ruby Fields, supporting someone like Morat, all of those female artists, even Gang of Youths. I'd love to support Gang of Youths. They are such a good band. And I think Greta Ray recently did their support for the last 2 years. So I'd love to jump in when she starts doing her own shows, and maybe I could support her.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And Paul, are you going to ask your most famous question here?
Yeah. I was just going to say, because you played a few gigs and with a few different people, do you feel like it's better to play in a good venue or with a good lineup?
Oh, good venue or good lineup? That's such a good question. I'd probably say good lineup, because venues are always going to change. No venue is ever the same. So as long as you've got a good sound guy and a good lineup, that's what you need.
Yeah. I feel like in Sydney, you got to have a good lineup to get people seeing you as well, which it kind of sucks, but a good time. It's good to like get that atmosphere going on, but it's always good to go to a venue and people, but if a venue advertises really well, it's also a good thing as well for the artists.
Yeah, definitely. You do need that support. And I think coming out of lockdown, it's really going to be prevalent that artists, venues, booking agents, we're all going to have to work together, because, creating that support for this industry right now is so important as well.
I think that's definitely happening. Like, I think by doing this and also just keeping an eye on, what's happening is like everyone who's gone through this together. I feel like it's been less about them, but more about everybody just reaching out, grabbing each other, helping each other. And I think like in the next, all the bands and artists that kind of come through in the next couple of years will always look back on the ones that were around them now and kind of look after to some degree, I think.
Definitely. And I've noticed that, especially on social media, just the support I've received from other local artists has been massive. And we've been, sharing each other's tracks and liking each other's stuff, streaming it constantly, just creating that little community that you need when you're an artist.
And I don't know if that existed before COVID to the degree that it does now. So I think it might be the best thing to kind of come out of this whole,
Yeah,
you know.
you were so right, completely right. Like, I think it was always there, but it was definitely less prevalent because you'd meet people going out, or you meet people at a gig. It was more organic, whereas now you're actually searching for people who you might align yourself with. And I think it's given people the ability to do it as well. Social media is, you know, fantastic for connection like that if you use it in the right way.
Yeah, for sure. And like which, like, I'm gonna throw this question out. Which like social media platform do you think is the best at the moment for like showing you know, artists, and also just for, you know, reaching, you know, people?
Yeah. If you'd asked me a month ago, I would have said TikTok.
Yeah.
Now I still think TikTok is definitely second, but I reckon Instagram. Instagram is huge for connecting artists, announcing shows, doing all of that. And I think it's really on TikTok's tail with regards to reels.
Yeah.
So video content, and I think they're only going to get better with it. TikTok's great. I think TikTok's amazing, but it is very oversaturated. So you have to really push and really have a niche that you can push to get successful on TikTok. So once you get a following on there, it's fantastic. It's probably the best. But when you're starting out, definitely Instagram.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and it's funny too when you see like people that didn't jump on the TikTok trend early, and they're and they're like big acts, and they've probably got 25,000, you know, up to 100,000, and they jump on TikTok, and you see them, and it's like it doesn't trend. Like, everyone has to grind that one.
Yeah, it dead set. And there's artists who have blue ticks because they're signed to record labels, and people are asking who they are. And it's like, wow, just because they didn't start their account at the beginning, you know, they've got the tick because they are technically an artist, they are signed. But these people don't know who they are because they haven't been on TikTok. It's crazy. So yeah, it's interesting. It gives you like an opportunity to kind of crack the market. But now that there's so many people on it, it's getting harder and harder. So yeah, it's interesting.
For sure. I also agree with you. I think Instagram is the best, hands down.
Yeah.
You know, I was jumped on the TikTok trend, and I thought, oh, this is great. And then I realized I think it's back at Instagram after a while.
Yeah, I'm using both. So I'm pretty active on both. But, you know, it just depends on who's watching at the time and where the video gets to. But yeah, I definitely reckon you should use both. Just give yourself that opportunity, because you know what? If you're not, someone else is going to.
For sure. I can't agree with that more.
Yeah.
But like, have you approached labels yet, or are you not interested in that path at all, and just kind of want to, you know, run the show independently? Or
good question. I'm interested in labels for sure. I think everybody is, but I also want to create who I am as an artist individually and by myself first. I think when you've got something to pitch to a label, then you've got something to pitch to a label. But at the moment, you know, there's a lot of people pitching to labels. So when I go to them, I want it to be, you know, ready, if that makes sense.
That makes 100% sense. Yeah, I wonder about people when they do it the opposite way, and they're not quite ready, and you're just like, you know, you're gonna lose, you know, you're gonna sign your life away if you do it now. Don't.
Yeah, contracts are funny. They can either help you or hurt you, and you've just got to be sure you're signing the right one for where you want to go. Yeah,
for sure. And also, like, have you got any plans in like the next 12 months to like really, you know, kind of get out of Sydney and make a bit of a noise? Like, would you like to do a bit of traveling?
Oh, I'd love to do traveling. Yeah, definitely on the agenda. As soon as I can get booking in different areas, I'm going to start. So at the moment, the plan is to get a band properly together. I've got some guys that have already started to learn my material during lockdown. So once they're all up to speed, we're going to get together, we're going to practice, and then we're going to have a full show. So yeah, the aim is to just look for gigs all up the coast, all the way to, you know, Brisbane, all the way down to Melbourne, and just get a solid tour going so that I can start to promote my original music.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I'm probably going to get a little van as well.
Does that include the 7 guitarists you would need as well?
Oh no, we're definitely going to scale that down a little bit. I think for the live shows, traveling with 7 boys in a van doesn't sound very fun. You know, unless we do half girls, and then maybe it'll be a little bit easier. But no, I definitely think we're going to have 2 guitarists and just keep it like that, because then that way we can kind of tailor it to the shows as well.
Nice. You're going to have a 4-piece? Is that the plan?
Yeah, 4 or 5 piece definitely is the plan. Whoever wants to play, I'm open to, grabbing whoever wants to do it. Even if I pick up artists on the way, if they're talented enough, they can jump in and do a session. Just about connecting, yeah. But the aim is to start off with 4, I think.
Are you going to play guitar as well, or you're going to on stage? Like, do you feel like you need to, or you rather not?
I have supported myself on solo gigs for so long that I would love to put the guitar down. I would love to put it down. Obviously, there are songs that need it as well. Yeah. So, I reckon it's going to be a mix of both. I'll play some songs with my guitar and then I'll put it down and I'll run around stage and look like a crazy person. So yeah, I think it's going to be awesome, but a bit of both. Very
cool. Yeah, I was just thinking then, like even 5 doesn't, it's getting expensive, but if you can get to 4, you can all kind of cram into the van, and otherwise you nearly have to buy a bus once you start getting past it.
Yeah, exactly. No, we've got to definitely plan ahead for it, but I can't wait to get traveling.
That's for sure. We spoke to a band the other day, and they're a 5-piece, and they've been traveling north and south and doing all that kind of stuff before COVID. And they're telling the story they had to have like take like 2 cars all the way up, wherever they went.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, hey, if you've got the time off and you've got the ability to do it, I think it'd be an awesome thing to do, just to be able to travel with your band and play everywhere. It's what my dad did for 40 years. So, I'll kind of be following in his footsteps a little bit, which is cute.
Yeah. And like, is it cool? Like, like having musicians as a parent, like, is that the best?
Look, I think it makes it so much easier, because having parents who aren't supportive of what you do is, I feel so sorry for those people. It would be hard, because not everybody understands music as a career. Not everybody understands the meaning of it, really. So yeah, both my parents, massive music fanatics. They've done it their whole lives, and they are my number 1 fan. So I'm very, very, very lucky.
Sure. Like, and is it like, your parents still play? Like, do they listen to your music and give you little pointers, or?
My dad can't help himself. He has to tell me, oh, do you hear this bit? You might want to change that. He can't help himself. But my mum is, my biggest supporter. I don't think she could say that I did anything wrong. So she keeps her mouth shut. But yeah, Dad loves to chime in and give me little pointers. But I wouldn't be where I was now if it wasn't for both of them. So yeah, they've definitely guided me a lot and pushed me to stay motivated and keep playing and keep writing and, just think outside the box a little bit as well. But yeah, Dad's been playing live shows. He's just turned 70. So 70 years old, I know, he's a little rock star, but he's still playing gigs with a 6-piece band, and he tours all over like New South Wales. He goes down to Orange. He goes everywhere. So they did something in Orange, actually, which is pretty cool. It was called the Old Orange Rock Show, and they sold it out. I think there was 5,000 people there, and they were playing songs that they wrote when they were, 16 years old in Orange, and there were people there that knew them when they were 16 who were there watching the show now that they're 70 years old. Like, it was such an awesome event, such an awesome thing to see. So yeah, Dad is still absolutely killing it as a 70-year-old rock star.
Awesome. So is your family from Orange? Were you from Orange, or have you lived in Sydney your whole life?
I grew up in Bundeena, so not everybody knows where that is, but it's in the Royal National Park. So surrounded by ocean, gorgeous, like foresty kind of vibe. It's such a nice place to grow up. So I was lucky, but Dad actually grew up in Orange and then moved to Canberra. And then he's been situated in the inner west for probably like 15 years now, maybe a bit longer. So yeah, he's been a little bit here and there, but Mum's been born and bred Bundeena her whole life. So small town. I think she lived in the inner west with my dad for a year and then begged him to move back. So I grew up there.
Oh, very cool. The only reason I asked about that is because I'm from nearly 3 hours past Orange in Dubbo.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, wherever there's a dam, and it's called the Burradong Dam.
Yep.
We had a house on that dam, and it's now underwater, or it was underground.
Oh,
yeah. That's how long ago they had a house there. But yeah, our family in Orange dates back to like the 1800s. It's insane when you look at the history.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Bundeena's a cool place too. Like, that would have been a fun childhood. You're like literally surrounded by like, nature and in all of its glory.
My first single that I released was called Deep Blue Sea, and I wrote that sitting on a rock watching the ocean and watching the ferry go past to Cronulla. And I wrote that song as when I was 16, sitting on that rock and just looking at the water. So yeah, it's definitely been a huge inspiration as well, being around nature.
Oh, for sure. Like you could write a song every day, like just walking out of the house.
Definitely helps.
Yeah, nice. And how long we've been going for, guys?
Probably half an hour or more.
Half an hour or more.
Yeah.
All right.
I was just gonna say, you just made a good point there, because when we ask who your influences are, and people think of people, but just then you just said that nature influenced you to make a song. So not influences doesn't always have to be a person as well.
No, I mean, I've written my fair share of love songs and heartbreak songs, like everyone has, I think. But yeah, I've got heaps of songs that are just about where I am at the time. Some of them are about the ocean and how it makes you feel. Others about, one of them starts barefoot in the dirt, I'm wandering away. Yeah. So I was walking barefoot, my feet were covered in dirt, and I just came up with that line. So yeah, so many different little scenarios that spark inspiration, especially from like where you are and what you're doing. Nature's been a huge one for me.
Yeah, for sure. And we've been when we were having these conversations with other musicians, they were like, they would say they had influences with, other people or whatnot. And then you would ask questions about if they had been writing and, during lockdown, and some had, but a lot hadn't. And I think that, yeah. And I think that nature or, the environment that they're in is subconsciously like kind of giving you, almost something to tap into. And then when you're combined into the house, it's harder to have that experience.
I think that's where having different versions of writing songs or different, methods that you can use is so important, because writer's block, I think I had writer's block once for 1 year. And it was when I was in a bad relationship and I wasn't really interested in anything. I didn't have any hobbies or goals. And I just kind of gave up on anything that I cared about. And that was the only time that I've ever lost inspiration for writing. But being in lockdown, I think if anything, it's inspired me more, purely because there's so much going on in the world to write about. Yeah. With regards to politics and social standards, everything like that. Anything that you're passionate about, even if you're not straight to the point with what it is, you can gain inspiration from it. So yeah, I think I've been lucky to keep that going.
Oh, for sure. And was
if
it
you
hard?
can hear the rain, I'm so sorry.
I was just about to say the same thing.
I had thunder going off, so I couldn't really unmute my mic every time. So it was a bit awkward for me to jump in, and there was thunder going off in the background. So I didn't want to stuff up the audio.
Yeah, we've got that right now. So I hope I think we're almost finished, so that's good.
Yeah. Well, can you hear it on any of I can't hear it on any of your microphones.
No, not yet.
I think we're safe.
Yeah. I've had a huge thunder before, but that was pretty much it.
Yeah. Cool. So where are you guys based? Are you based you're in Western Sydney, aren't you?
Yeah, we're out in Bankstown.
Oh, cool. Yeah, cool. Yeah. I work in Padstow, so just
oh, nice, on the road.
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so I imagine we're all experiencing this raging storm outside at the moment.
So loud. We're gonna cop it for 7 days as well. Oh, I'm gonna have to write a song about the rain.
There's a few songs already like that, but it'd be good to hear another one.
Yeah, maybe I can put a different spin on it.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking of the Beatles one that came to mind, and
yes, good song.
Oh yeah.
And oh, sorry, Paul.
That's all right. You know that song Yesterday? I always think of that Mr. Bean movie when Mr. Bean and his friend were singing it drunk on the way home.
Oh, I need to go watch that on YouTube.
Was it
now.
yesterday? Yeah, I think it was yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. That's it.
Yeah, I need to go find it on YouTube and rewatch that. I haven't seen that in years.
Yeah.
But who do you look to as like inspiration? Like what you mentioned Vera Blue before, but are there other artists, whether they're local artists, international artists? Who are your favorites?
Yeah, so I've got a few. I would originally say my main inspirations as growing up, like as a child, definitely Casey Chambers, because my mum would pump it. Yeah. She'd also pump the Dixie Chicks and Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac, obviously. So I had like that kind of influence there growing up. But as I grew older, my favorite artist currently, Ed Sheeran. obsessed with him. Jesse Reyes is incredible. Dominic Fike, Halsey, kind of those artists in like the American scene, and then Australian scene. I love Missy Higgins. You can't go past her tracks. I think she's a huge inspiration to any female Australian artist, definitely alongside Casey Chambers. And then I love Kim Churchill. He's got such a beautiful voice, and Gang of Youths at the moment. They're amazing writers, amazing songwriters.
Yeah. Did you get a chance? Have you had a chance to go watch those guys?
Oh, no, I've seen, who did I see live? I've seen Youngblood live. He was epic. Such a good artist to see live. He's got so much energy. But no, I honestly actually haven't seen that many of my favorite artists live. And I was just about to buy tickets to Ed Sheeran, and I think lockdown happened. Yeah. So I think he was due to come out from memory the first lockdown, and then he cancelled all his tours, and I was so upset.
Oh, well, I'm sure you'll get a chance to see Ed again.
I'm not going to allow myself to say no for the next year. I'm just going to go to everything.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
You know? And were you lucky enough to see Youngblood at the Enmore?
Mm-hmm. So good. I went by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to drop out because my friend dropped out, and I was like, do I go? Do I not go? And I thought, you know what? No, just go by yourself. And there were so many kids, and I was like, oh my God, I'm the oldest person here. But then I found my older crew at the back. So I just chilled with them, and I had the best time.
Oh, very nice. I had to sell my ticket to that show. I ended up getting called into work and give it, having to get rid of it. But
you missed out. It was good.
He was too lazy to ask for the day off because he thought, oh no, I'll be all right. I'll make it. And he gets rostered on.
Well, next time you'll have to go when he comes out next time.
Yeah, like he's an artist who's just kind of blown up, really fast. Like my friend was telling me that he played at like Newcastle Uni to like no one, and then it came back, played the Enmore, gone overseas again, and now he's huge. Like
he was always an incredible artist, and I think Halsey had a part in that, although she likes to not take too much credit, which I think is great as well, because she always says he is incredible, he's such a talented boy, and she found him because she liked his music. She was a fan, and she reached out on an Instagram DM, which is so crazy, and he was like, what? And he had to double check with his mates to make sure it was really her. And then they started dating. Like, how good is that? It's so funny how like artists can just, like I said, an Instagram DM can change everything and like just open you up to a whole new group of people that you wouldn't have even thought of.
Yes, and very much so in his case. Like it just changed his whole life.
Yeah, he's mad, and now he's doing stuff with Bring Me the Horizon, which is hectic. He was screaming on one of their tracks.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so mad.
Wow, gee. I think next time he comes out, we'll have to be, he'll be playing stadiums, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I think he'll 100%. Be there.
Yeah, 100%. I'll be there. I'll be in the mosh.
Kudos Bank Arena, Youngblood.
Yeah. 2022.
Yeah. Wow. And if you could play any venue in the world, where would you play?
Oh my God, I think this is such a common response, but Madison Square Garden. It's just, everyone wants to play there. It's beautiful. Like everyone who is somebody has played there. So I think that would be a big, big goal.
Nice. And this is like a 50-50 question, because depending, like you've said Madison Square Garden, we've asked a lot of people and their other answer is Wembley. It's like Wembley or Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, I agree. That would have been my second choice.
And like, what about Sydney? Which venue haven't you played yet that you would love to?
Oh, I'd love to play Oxford Art. I almost supported someone there just before lockdown. Oh my God, everything is just before lockdown. But yeah, almost supported someone there just before. So I'd love to get another gig there. I'd even love to headline it if I could. So that'll definitely be on the cards for the future.
I reckon you can do that easy. I reckon that's you could probably knock off that one off the bucket list before the end of the year.
It's just a cute little venue. Like it's just got such a nice vibe to it. They always have good gigs there. They've always got good artists, and they support artists as well, I think, which is cool. And more theatre obviously is on the bucket list as well. Love to play that, love to headline my own show, but love to support someone there too. Yeah,
like the Enmore is just iconic. Yeah. And if you could have the option between like, the Enmore or the Opera House, which one would you take?
Oh my goodness. Probably the Opera House. You have to say you've done it. Like you have to say, if you're from Sydney, you have to say that you've sung at the Opera House, and also Enmore. It's Yeah,
Yeah.
they go together.
I
Just
reckon.
different scales.
I feel like Opera House will be sound better because of the acoustic roofs and all that. Just
Yeah,
like
the
they'll,
treating.
yeah, so it's actually made for music.
Yeah, it's interesting because sometimes those hall rooms do the opposite of what you think they're going to
Yeah.
do.
Mm,
So you need a, regardless, you, like I said, you can play any venue, you need a good sound guy.
mm.
Yeah.
Because they make the sound work with the room.
And have you ever had any horror stories with sound guys?
Oh, yeah. One
One?
that was bad. I won't say where, I won't say who.
Yeah.
But I could not hear myself. I could not hear a word that I was singing, let alone a chord that I was playing. So my brain knew what I had to do next, but because I couldn't hear it, it was just stuffing me up massively. And I paused and I asked them, I was like, hey guys, can we sort this out? I just don't think the guy who organized the venue really realized what live musicians need. So there was no foldback speakers. They had our speakers set up and they were about this big in the corner of in the room. And I'm like, I can't hear myself talk, like, because people were talking, people are drinking, can't hear yourself sing over that. So I had to say, thanks for listening guys, but I'm gonna end this gig now. And I ended the gig. Which was tough.
Decision, yeah.
Look, if you can't even hear what chord you're playing next, you know, your name as an artist is kind of on the line as well. So you got to kind of work out when to quit.
Yeah.
But I would never normally, I would give every opportunity to the venue to try and fix the sound before I walked off stage, but that was definitely a bit of a horror story.
Wow. And like, did you ever have have you got any other good stories as like being like a musician starting out and doing like cover gigs? Did you ever have any shocker venues or travel stories or?
Oh, I'd probably say rocking up to a venue and they forgot that you were playing. I got there with all of my friends, all of my gear, everything ready to set up, walked in and they had someone else on stage. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm playing next. Talk to them. They're like, oh, we thought you were next week. I'm like, no, check your messages. And then, I had to leave with all of my mates who came from like all over Sydney as well. So we went and got drunk instead.
So what about the person that they had up? Had they just been like, had they come in a week earlier or something?
I think they must have double booked us and not realized and then tried to like backtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoops.
You know, we've heard this story before, so I think it happens more often than it should, you know.
Yeah, look, when you're booking, you've just got to have your calendar set up. Just have your calendar set up, have your dates, have your names, then you know, hopefully we'll be okay, unless technology decides to spite you and delete bookings.
Exactly. And I think that's the bare minimum that you should have to do to book, you know.
Yeah. You'd hope so.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we made that mistake 2 weeks ago. We were a day early, so we were already on Zoom. And then I was like, oh shit, this is meant to be for tomorrow. So I was like, oh crap. So I full sent the link to the band, but the band didn't see it. Luckily.
Well, we didn't make that mistake, Paul. Let's
I made a mistake. Yeah, I made a mistake because I thought it was because we've been recording every Sunday, and I thought it would be a Sunday. But
yeah, well,
it was a Monday.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
The same thing happened with me. There was a podcast that wanted me on and they booked in the date and I sat there at my computer ready and the link wasn't working and I was like, what's going on? They never came online. I thought they forgot about me. Turns out they're in Nashville, different time zone. They didn't set up the time zones correctly and they're like, oh, we didn't realize you're in Sydney. I'm like, it literally says it in my bio, but that's okay.
We're a podcast that doesn't stuff up the time zone, so it's all right. We've got that right twice.
Yeah. Got nothing to worry about.
Yeah. That has been a trip doing like talking to people with like time zones and like, did you end up getting to speak to them?
Yeah, we rebooked a date like a week later and it had to be a really funny time, like super early for me, but super late for them. But yeah, it worked out.
And like, did you realize that they're like a day behind? So in a weird way, you're in the future, you're in like the next
That's
day.
That's what confused the hell out of me because I was waiting there and it turns out I was waiting there the date, well, because their 11th was our 10th. So I was actually there a date early and I was like, so confused. Whoops.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like you're having these conversations and you're like, how could this be possible? You're the, 8th, 9th, whatever. And it's, it bends your head for about a second. You're like, oh, this is, yeah.
I love Americans are so funny. I feel like they do things a little bit backwards.
Yeah. Oh, especially we've had so many conversations with people and we've said something and they've been like, what?
Yeah, Yeah, I was going on with my bogan words. There's like Norman, and they're like, "What? What's that? What's a poker machine? What's a pokies?"
Oh,
Yeah,
So,
I'm
so I had to explain
terrible.
what it was.
I don't know what it is, but I think growing up in a small town, like I just talk the way I talk, and so sometimes I'm really proper and I can hold my words and articulate what I'm trying to say. Other times I'm just like, yeah, how you going? Like super Aussie, super bogan, no filter.
I think that's the way to do it. Like sometimes when I speak to the Americans, I try to conjure up in my soul the inner bogan and just bring it out, because then I feel like we're giving them, the Australian experience.
They love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think anybody loves it. Like if you're calling an American station, you want them to be themselves as well. So like bunging it on a little bit and having a bit of fun is, yeah, the best way to go.
Yeah. And do you know that they're watching us? Like there's a scene happening in LA where they're like, all these kids are like obsessed with Australian music and they're going around and listening to it. Like we were learning stuff about the Chats, talking to some dudes in LA, and
Wow.
yeah. And I'm like, do you even know what some of these words are? Do you even know what smoko means? Like,
yeah, I'm on smoko.
Yeah. Do you even know what that is? And they're like, no, dude.
That's the best. Yeah. I'm going to have to target my marketing to LA now.
Yeah, so they were learning words from the Chats because of songs. That's how they learned the Aussie language. Wow. So they learned what a smoker was because of the Chats.
Yeah, that's mad. That's mad. And servo and bottle-o, and why do we put up at the end of everything? I don't get it. Why?
Yeah. I don't know. I like it though.
Yeah, so do I.
Because they're really proper. They're the opposite. They're like, that is a liquor shop.
Yeah. No, it's the bottle-o.
Yeah, it's the bottle-o. That's the servo. No, it is the gas station. Everything. They make everything longer. We make everything shorter.
Yeah. Shorter is easier, quick and over and done with.
Yeah, I agree. I can't agree more.
Efficient.
Yes. But yeah, do you reckon are you able to track your Spotify analytics to overseas and things like that? Have you had plays in places that were like, oh my God, this has amazed me?
Yeah, Mexico and the Philippines, they love me. Don't know why, but they do. So that's great. I think the Philippines, they're so musical and they love acoustic and they love folk. So I think I expected that a little bit, because my best friend's Filipino and all they do is jam with acoustic guitars all the time. So yeah, I think my music appeals to them. But Mexico surprised me. Yeah, I was like, interesting.
Spanish.
Yeah, I mean, they must like my style. So maybe I should get someone Spanish on the track.
Oh man, that's interesting. Mexico. Wow.
Yeah, and I think one of them was the Czech Republic as well. There's a few random ones that popped up that and like quite a few listens and consistent listens. So I don't know how they found me, but hello.
Yeah. And what's like the process for you, like getting your songs into playlists? Is it difficult? Is it easy, or does it just happen?
Yeah, look, playlist pitching, I think anyone will tell you the same thing. It's so hit and miss. It's like, yeah, you have to pitch at the right time and the editors have to see it and like it at the right time and know which category to put you in. It can be a little bit restricting, but it can also be really, it can really open up another door as well. So yeah, I've playlist pitched to Spotify. I got on, I think, one editorial and a few algorithmic playlists, so that put up streams a little bit. But I'm definitely, for the third single, which is coming out in November, going to focus on doing a bit more playlist pitching for that one, because, that's where you reach people that you wouldn't normally reach as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting how those playlists work, how like sometimes you can people like can blow up overnight and have like hundreds of thousands of streams just by somehow miraculously ending up in a playlist.
And TikTok does that as well. Like if your video on TikTok goes viral, bang, you've suddenly got 100,000 to 1 million streams on your tracks just from doing a little video. So yeah, the internet's a crazy place. It can blow up at any point.
Yeah. Does it last though, do you reckon? Like if you have like a moment where something blows up and you get that 5 minutes of everyone's attention, do you reckon it's more valuable like to like done it the long way?
Oh, yes and no. If you post good content and you continue the niche that blew you up in the first place, I think you have the ability of sustaining that. I almost called it clientele, that fan base. I run a small business, so I'm mixing my words. But yeah, you establish that fan base and you keep them consistently. If you keep posting content that engages them, I feel like what people fail to do and what people struggle with, which, you know, I think everyone struggles with, is creating content that's continually engaging and that is consistent. So if you have a niche, like say there's a girl on TikTok, which I love, she does you ask, I write. So she asks people to give her a scenario and she writes a little song about it. And she has millions of consistent daily followers and listeners that now listen to her original music because she engaged with them and wrote songs about what they wanted to hear. So, you know, that finding that niche, I think, is really important, and not copying someone else's niche at the same time, which is so hard to do.
That's awesome. And yeah, I feel like we've covered everything in this conversation, and this is going so fast. I always know we've gone for a long time when like it feels like we've only been talking for a minute or something, but
sorry, I can talk underwater, so that's probably my fault.
No, it's been good. This has been really, really fun. Have you got any questions before we start to wrap it up, Paul?
No, I think we've got everything covered. I just want to know, have you got any plugs or shout outs you'd like to do before we finish?
Yeah, I'd love to. So my single, it's called Happy Now, is coming out on the 18th of November. So that's my third single of the year and my first single to come out of lockdown with. So that'll be out on all streaming platforms, including Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music. So you just have to type in my name, which is Sami, Sami Cartwright. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, basically everywhere.
Beautiful. We'll leave the links below too, guys.
Thank you.